I asked ChatGPT to imagine a story where a modern civil war erupts in the US following Kamala Harris's victory in the 2024 presidential election. Stay tuned to find out how Chapter 2 unfolds. December 2024, the protests turned violent as December arrived. The protests intensified. What began as peaceful demonstrations in conservative states quickly spiraled out of control. Armed groups began to organize, and clashes between protesters and law enforcement became increasingly violent. In cities like Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix, the situation escalated rapidly, with buildings set ablaze and looting spreading through the streets. The violence wasn't confined to urban centers. In rural areas, militias began to form, vying to resist what they saw as a fraudulent government. Governors in several red states openly defied the federal government, refusing to acknowledge the legitimacy of the election results. They declared states of emergency, mobilizing their National Guard units and calling on citizens to prepare for a fight. In response, President-elect Harris condemned the unrest, calling for unity and the peaceful transition of power. But her calls fell on deaf ears in many parts of the country. Trust in federal institutions had eroded to the point where half the nation no longer believed in the integrity of the election. January 2025, the first shots. By January 2025, the tension had reached a breaking point. In a small town in Idaho, a group of armed protesters seized control of a federal courthouse, declaring that they would not recognize Harris's presidency. The governor, one of those who had rejected the election results, refused to intervene, allowing the standoff to continue. The situation quickly escalated when federal agents attempted to retake the courthouse. Shots were fired, and when the dust settled, several protesters and federal agents lay dead. The incident shocked the nation and served as a grim reminder of how close the country was to a full-blown conflict. The violence sparked a wave of similar incidents across the country. In Texas, a convoy of armed citizens blocked highways, refusing to allow federal authorities to enter the state. In Michigan, militias clashed with the National Guard, turning downtown areas into war zones. The first shots of what would soon become a civil war had been fired. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter as this story continues to unfold.